Today I'm going to do the 8 Bookish Memories tag. This one was originally created by Paul at the Accidental Bookseller, and I was tagged by Pat at the Chat with Pat. And the idea behind this tag is to talk about 8 books that have core memories. Paul describes it in his original video like a book that brings back real instant, vivid memories like a song might. And the purpose is to show how our lives are so connected to the books and the stories that we read. I have just gone down and gathered up a few. I'm not sure I have understood the assignment perfectly, but some of these books I've talked about many, many times, and some I don't think I've mentioned before, so we'll see what you think, and if I accomplished it, okay. Now, the problem is that I have a lot of books where there's memories attached to that, but not necessarily specific memories. Just, I don't know how to say what I'm thinking, but let me talk about the ones I've mentioned so many times. The Great Expectations, this really beat up copy, the cover's falling off, I've taped it back on. Oh boy, it's scary, and the pages, yeah. I got this copy, I think at a book fair or a book order. I don't remember which. They're all kind of the same in my head. Scholastic Book Fair or book order. And I read this in 8th grade, 10 minutes at a time before English started. The memory is strong. The memory is very strong. I even still have the pages that after the 10 minutes, we would have to write a little summary of what we read. And I still have those pages saved somewhere, I think. And I didn't understand like a word of it, but I'm pretty sure I got through it. I can't remember if I ended up having to get through it like at home later on, or if I actually got through it while I was reading in English, but I really didn't understand anything. And it wasn't until I reread it that I realized what an awesome book this was. And I think I've read it twice since then, maybe, I don't know. But it's just such a huge memory, holding this book, hauling it around with me, and trying to get through it as an 8th grader. Yes, so I've talked about that memory many, many times, so I thought I would mention it again, just in case anybody is new who's watching and hasn't heard that story a gazillion times already. Another one that I've mentioned before a lot, this book I use for almost every tag, Anne of Green Gables. Don't actually remember when I got this book, but I got it as a set with the other 2 books. And then, and I don't remember either when I first read it. My guess is maybe 13 or 14 years old. So that's still 8th grade-ish. But it's the book that I remember being so into the romance for the first time, even though there's really not that much romance in here. But I just remember being so into it. Melinda commented the other day on my channel that Gilbert Blythe was her first literary crush, and I said he probably was mine too. I don't remember if there was anybody before him or not, but he was definitely up there in the top of the pack for that distinction. I still remember reading, I'm not sure it was, that bridge scene. I don't even remember if it's this book or if it's like in the second book, the bridge scene when they finally admit to each other. Oh, I remember sitting in my room and reading that scene. It was a big deal. I feel like I have mentioned Ferdinand before. This book brings back a definite, distinct feeling of, I don't know what it is, something powerful that I related to when I was a kid and this book was being read to me. I related to Ferdinand probably as much or more than any other character at the time, because I understood how he just wanted to sit and smell the flowers. He did not want to deal with a bullfight. I did not, of course, as a kid, understand at all what a bullfight meant, what the purpose of a bullfight was. As a kid, I just knew Ferdinand did not want to participate in it, and he just wanted to sit and smell the flowers. And I related to that. I related so much that he just wanted to be by himself and do his own thing and be calm and quiet. And anyway, so this book brings back those beginning memories I had way back when. The feeling that maybe, it's okay sometimes to be different from other people. Oh, I just want to say this book starts out once upon a time in Spain. Does it say it's in Madrid? I thought it said somewhere that it was Madrid, because that always stuck in my head that this was in Madrid in Spain. And then just one for the bullfights in Madrid. Yes, it does mention Madrid. I thought it was at the first page, but it says Spain in the first page, but Madrid later on. And I remember years later when I was a grown up and I went to Madrid, this book was what I thought of. Like, I was thinking in my head, oh my gosh, I am like in Madrid. That is where Ferdinand happened. This book is my overall impression of Madrid, the city in Spain. Of course, we didn't go to a bullfight. I'm glad we didn't go to a bullfight. I hope I never go to a bullfight. I know when my daughter was there on an exchange student, they did go to a bullfight as part of their experiences. And I can't remember now if she actually went or if she opted out or if she went and then didn't really watch it. I can't remember how it went down for her now, but yeah. Okay, here's some others that I don't talk about that much. Charlotte's Web. I don't know why I don't talk about this one more. Probably the first time I actually cried because of a book. And I don't remember the first time I read this or anything. I don't know. I mean, this book is one that I got a hold of. I don't know, probably, I don't even know where this book came from. And I don't know what book we had at my house. But I think my mom might have read it out loud to us. Either that or a school teacher. And then probably read it later on my own. But I feel like this book is probably very high up there in the memory list for many, many people. It's so powerful and so sad, but so real. I don't know. It's just the best. At some point, I read the Boxcar Children, and I was so in love with this story. And the idea that some kids could make a living on their own and live in a boxcar, it just was the coolest thing ever to me. And I probably have mentioned this memory before, but I would make my brothers and sisters that are all younger than me play Boxcar Children all the time. And we would go outside and pretend like we were surviving on our own, and adventures would happen and we would have to deal with it and figure it all out. And I also remember that when I would go to my grandparents' farm, they had an abandoned boxcar on their property. And I wished so bad I could play in that thing, but it was gross and locked and not a place to play. But I would look at it all the time and imagine the Boxcar Children and how awesome I thought that story was. The Riddle Master of Head by Patricia A. McKillip. Has anybody heard of this book? Is this like a well-known book? I don't even know. But somebody gave this to me. I feel like I got it for Christmas when I was a kid, and by like an aunt or a cousin or like a family exchange or something like that. And I absolutely loved it. So this might have been the first time I realized I loved this kind of fantasy sort of stories. It's been a long time since I read it, or I don't know if I even ever reread it. But I look at it all the time, and I have that thing that we were just talking about. Something hits me, like, oh yeah, that book. Oh my gosh, you remember when I read that book and I was so smitten with the whole fantasy thing? Yeah, that's what this one does. I don't know that I ever kept going. I have no memory of that part. I just know that I loved this one. And I was always so happy and excited that somebody gave it to me. Harry Potter. So I was old when Harry Potter came out already. I had kids. Harry Potter is the huge craze for my kids' generation. I might have discovered the first one kind of accidentally at a book fair, because we would go to the book fairs all the time, right? And I probably got the first one at a book fair just thinking, oh, I feel like I've heard of this or something, but I didn't really know anything about it. And then it was gradually, we learned that it was kind of a phenomenon. We weren't really up on it at the beginning. And then I do remember we were on a trip. It was in the year 2000, and we were coming home. It was the middle of the summer. We were coming home from the trip, and we were watching TV at the hotel, and there was this big news story about Harry Potter coming out. And we were like, oh yeah, we got to get that book. And I feel like that might have been book number 4. Like, we were kind of behind, I'm telling you. So we went home, and I think at that point I caught up with all the series. We read them, we got the books, and we were ready to go by the time the next book came out, which I'm thinking, I'm saying, I'm trying to look at the years and figure out what book was when, but I'm thinking it was The Order of the Phoenix. It came out in 2003. By that time, we were completely and totally in on the craziness, and we went to our first ever midnight release party. Pretty sure it was this book. And we went to it wasn't Barnes & Noble. We went to Borders and got in the line at midnight with our kids, and waited our turn to pick up our copy of the book. And that was something I had never experienced before. And we did it, I think the next year after that, we did it again. But I think for the last book, I think I just got it at Costco, and they had, huge pallets of it. And we just went the day of and picked it up off of the pallet, because I had kind of had enough of taking the kids to the midnight party. That craziness, I feel like there hasn't been anything like this since, at least something that's as widespread. There's been little niches, like Onyx Storm, I think, maybe had midnight party releases, but something that everyone, the whole family was involved in. Have we had anything like this since? I don't know. That was something. This last one, The Winds of War by Herman Wouk. I might be getting this mixed up with another one, North and South, not the Elizabeth Gaskell one, but the Civil War stories. North and South was also a huge phenomenon on TV about the same time this one was, The Winds of War. They were huge TV series, and we called them mini series, and they would air every night for like a week. I don't think anything is like that anymore, is there? I think things drop on Netflix for the whole thing, and then you binge it all at once. But we had to wait every night for many times for these big fat books to be turned into these TV series. And The Winds of War was one of them. And then I remember I probably ordered this book a little while after. I don't know if it was a Scholastic one too, or where I got it for sure. I just remember the feeling of being able to get the book after I'd watched the series, and then read the book with the series in mind. Does that make sense? Like backwards from what we normally do. And feeling how cool that was, that I was reading this big, fat, adult book. I was probably a teenager, so, but that I was so connected to already because of the TV series. Do you know what I'm talking about? Anyone have done this? Did you do this as a kid too? And I was wondering if I'd ever actually had finished it, but I have a bookmark here on page 775, and there is about 1,000 pages. So I didn't quite finish it, if that's any indication of what I did way back 50 years ago. But this book does definitely, when I look at it, it brings back the memories of that TV show and how we were also into it. Those are some of the ones that I found and thought about, and thought that would be fun to talk about. Some different ones that I haven't mentioned before, I don't think. Memories are tied to pretty much every book, but these are some of the ones that I feel like are maybe a little bit more core memory-ish, especially ones I haven't talked about a whole lot, except those couple. If you want to do this, if you want to join in on talking about some bookish memories, you should consider yourself tagged, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.